All right, so today plan was to go on a little bit of a hike of Minnekhada Park, try to get up to the high Knoll. I'm starting kind of late in the day, so the parking lot is completely full, which is not unusual for a weekend, so you want to get here a little bit early if you can. Don't be like me. What I didn't expect was that the cars would overflow onto the highway, and I'm looking at like probably 50 cars on the highway here now. So I'm kind of way down the road just to give you an idea of what that looks like. Behind me, you can kind of see some of the cars right there. It just goes forever. And then, if that wasn't enough, take a look at that. And that's going away from the park. So I was lucky to find a spot right here. Yeah, it kind of gives you an idea that get here early. It's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon here now, and I'm really too late. So we'll see how far I get today. So when you're hiking this trail, one of the things you need to watch out for, of course, are bears. And as you can see right there, that's evidence of bear. That's bear scat. Yeah, that's pretty fresh. So we're going down this trail here to the left as soon as you come out of the parking lot, and we're going to see if we can see any bears. One of the most fantastic trees that you'll find in this area is this one. This is a cedar tree, and you can tell because it's going to be pretty large. It's going to actually have this kind of bark that peels away, and sometimes the bears will claw at it and it might be completely barren. Also, you can tell by the droopy kind of branches, as you can kind of see, they kind of droop down like that. So that's something to look for as well. Usually they've got a fair bit of moss on them. They generally grow to be quite an old tree. They get really large, and sometimes they're hollow in the middle, and they're just very cool looking trees. So be on the lookout for some big cedar trees in Minnekhada Park. Go take a look. Often there's wildlife around the trees. If you're picking mushrooms, sometimes you'll see mushrooms and stuff like that in this area. Okay, so I'm about a kilometer away from the parking lot now, going left when you get to the first intersection, and just staying left the whole way. That takes you around the wider perimeter, and you get to this magical little spot right here, which is really cool. You got a lot of cedar trees. I'm not sure if they're first growth or not, probably not, but still really beautiful, really big. It's really rainforesty in here. It's sheltered. You got to be careful because mosquitoes will build up in here because of the sheltering of the wind, but the lighting in here is really amazing. It's really beautiful, this spot here. It lasts for about 50 feet, so it's not a very big area, but as you can see, lots of ferns, lots of moss, big cedar trees, just everything you would imagine from a rainforest. So great spot, 1 kilometer into the hike, going left. So make sure you check this spot out. Maybe take a little break here, get a drink of water. Perfect little spot to take a break and just, you know, take a look around. The marsh is right there to the right of me, so we're not very far in or far away from the marsh. You can hear people, so we're still pretty close to everybody, but it's a nice little kind of secluded spot that I think you'll like. take a look at this stump behind me here. It's huge. It's got to be 6 feet across. It's totally burned out. So you can imagine how big this tree was. One of those giant cedar trees that's got to be, oh, I don't know, many hundreds of years old. And there's a bunch of other cedar trees in this area, but I just spotted this one. It's slightly off the trail, but just the remnants of what's left is massive. So you can imagine how big it was. Hundreds of feet tall, easily. It's got to be, I don't know when it was burned, but it looks like it's been burned for quite a while. Probably a forest fire ripped through here. I see a little bit of charring on some of the smaller stumps, so probably been that way for quite some time. But pretty amazing when you look at the forest and how it's layered. You have the new on top of the old. This guy here, definitely pretty old. He's been here a while, so really cool to see. So one of the things I love about Minnekhada Park, besides the fact that it's like 10 minutes from my house, is that whenever I come here, I usually see something interesting. And quite often, that's wildlife. So I've seen bears, I've seen all sorts of frogs, beavers, all sorts of things. In this exact spot, I saw 2 great horned owls, which were just in a branch just over there. I'm about 1.5 kilometers in, going left when you come off the main parking lot. So this is a great spot to look for wildlife. It's very quiet here. Not a lot of people, some mosquitoes, but that's about it. And some more burned stumps, which I never actually noticed before. There's another one back there. So definitely a big forest fire ripped through here at some point and burn some of these older trees that we see here today. So watch out for owls and other wildlife when you're walking through here. So some more signs of bears. You can see that on the tree here. You can see the scraping on the tree, on the bark. And this is throughout the park. It's not just this tree, so you'll see it mostly over near the high knoll, on the trail up to the high knoll. But here as well, I see it. They rub their backs and stuff on the trees. Sometimes I think they kind of mark it for their territory maybe, but definitely rubbing their back up against it is common practice that you'll see. You see that quite often. So this is really interesting, right? You can see that they've definitely been here. And I could see some tracks earlier on as well. Somebody said there was one on the trail just over there today. So we'll probably see one today. 50-50 chance, I'm guessing. So let's go further on, see what happens. So most people don't realize that there's a little creek in Minnekhada Park that feeds into the marsh. I don't recommend that you drink out of it necessarily, but you could wash your hands in it. You have to be a bit careful when you're drinking out of the streams because there could be pollutants in it, both natural and man-made, so you have to be a bit careful. The best thing to do would be to use a filter or to use the pills if you do need to drink out of the stream. So you want to prepare it properly. Boiling it also works, but that takes a long time. But if you have a stove, it is possible. Yeah, it's about 2 kilometers in. If you stay on the left-hand side, you listen for the water, which you can hear behind me. It's a little tiny stream, and it's kind of nice and peaceful. And you can wash your hands, rinse your face if you need to. So I don't know all the things that are safe to eat in the forest, but I do know a couple. And huckleberries actually are one of my favorites. If you're hungry and you want something quick to snack on, this time of year, June, July time frame, you see a lot of huckleberries, a lot of berries in general, but huckleberries actually one of my favorites. They're small, but there's no seeds inside of them, so they're very easy to eat. You don't get the seeds in your teeth or anything like that, and they're very sweet, so they're very nice to eat. And they look like this. I'll just pick a branch here. You can see You know, the little tiny berries like that. If you can't tell that they're huckleberries, or if you're unsure, don't eat them, because there's other berries that look just like this but are poisonous and probably will make you pretty sick. So if you don't know, don't eat. That's kind of the rule. Same with mushrooms and everything else that you're going to find out here. But if you go with a guide, or if you go with somebody who knows what they're looking for, then yeah, by all means, they're pretty tasty. Things that I look for when I'm hiking are what we call trap tracks. That's hard to say. These traps basically trap any sort of tracks or any sort of activity that would be moving through the forest here. So as a tracker, what you're looking for is, are there bears or other animals that I need to look out for? If you're tracking somebody, then you do look for their footprints in here as well. But for our purposes, basically what we're looking for is are there any fresh tracks of bears or something like that? Maybe cougars, but those are harder to see because they look like dog prints, but bears are going to be really big and pretty easy to tell. So this is a good example of that. You can kind of see it's all muddy here, and there's lots of footprints in here, right? So you can see lots of people have gone through here, which is probably good, right? They're going to scare away a lot of the wildlife like the bears or the cougars. But yeah, there's no bear prints here, lots of dog prints, of course, right? So it looks all good. But that's one of the things that you can watch out for when you're hiking, is you can walk past these areas like this that are all muddy and see what you see, right? Take a minute, take a look, and see if you can see any bear tracks. Or maybe you're going to see something smaller, right? Like little, beavers or minks, or something like that. It's kind of cool. Sometimes I'll find foxes as well in the snow, and we actually catch up with them, and they're very cute to see. So yeah, keep your eyes open. This is a great thing to look for, to see what's kind of like in your vicinity in the forest. I literally just about ran into a bear right there. I was going up the trail and it was right there. I started clapping, backing away slowly. Hard to back away right there because it's a very technical part of the trail. Oh, lots of flies. But I was about 15 feet away from it when I saw it, and big black bear, must have been 300 pounds. I took some video of it as I was trying to be safe, but I don't know how good the video is. It shows you how you have to really be looking out for bears when you're in this area. He just recently went that way on the trail. I backed off quite a bit to give him room. He wasn't responding to my clapping, which usually they do respond to clapping. I was clapping pretty loudly as I was backing away. He took no notice. That was a clear sign to me. Let him have the right of way, back off. I did that. It's been about 10, maybe 15 minutes so far since I last saw him, and he was going the other way. So I think I'm pretty clear. I can't see him, so that's always the tricky part, but I'm gonna head up that way now and see if it's safe and continue on my way towards the high knoll. Actually not too busy in here. I'm in the middle area where the marsh is, which is a beautiful spot. And there was a group of people here earlier, but they pretty much cleaned out. So now it's just me and 3 other people. Overall, it's a little overcast, but still really nice here. There's some tadpoles in the marsh here. They're going to turn into frogs. And at some point this year, probably in about a few weeks or a month, this place will be covered in little baby frogs. And it's quite the sight to see that. If you're hiking or jogging, it's almost impossible not to step on those poor little guys. It's something to see because there's just millions of them. They're everywhere. Minnekhada Park, one of the things you want to watch out for is the different wildlife that you're going to see. One of the things that you may see are beavers. So there's a lot of beaver huts or houses that you'll see. That's one right there. That's an example of one. There's about 4 or 5 on the marsh, so keep your eyes open for that. They're nocturnal animals, so you don't typically see them, although I have as I've walked around. So, but not very often, maybe like 2 or 3 times out of all the visits I've been here. So keep your eyes out for that. Take a look at the little huts that they have there. Okay, so I'm halfway up the high knoll, and as you can see, lots of bugs today. It's pretty steep. Let's take a look. Well, it's not that bad, but yeah, it's good. Whew, good incline. Anyways, so yeah, good exercise. It's pretty manageable. This is the only steep part, and it's really about 15 minutes. All right, now I'm gonna do the last bit, and then I'll do some more video at the very top there. Okay, so now I'm at the high knoll. Took about, I don't know, about 2 hours just to walk around the whole perimeter and then hike up this high knoll area. It can take you all day, or you could run this whole thing in about an hour. If you want to just have a relaxing stroll, I think if you save about half a day, you know, save 3 or 4 hours for yourself. If you're coming up here with a family, of course it's going to take a little bit longer, right? Yeah, here's the view from the high knoll. The weather is a little bit windy. It's always a little bit windy here. It's about 6 o'clock, maybe 6:30 right now, and you can see it's starting to get a little overcast. It's starting to get a little bit dark. The sun's starting to go down a little bit, but you can see the view. Got a view of the river right over there, which is really nice, and then you got a view of the marsh down there as well. Lots of people. The people just left, so I'm lucky there's nobody here right now, but at any given time usually there's like 10 people up here. Let's go take a look over here. Let me show you what this looks like. All right, so this is actually the high knoll. I was about 10 feet below the high knoll right there. This gives you a little bit better of a view, and you can see the marsh down there behind me. Definitely worth checking out when you're in Minnekhada Park. Watch out for the bears, though. Okay, so I've gotten away from some of the people. It's a little bit more peaceful here now, although the park's still pretty busy. So now I'm in an area that's really close to the low knoll. The low knoll trail's just down there, and I'm heading towards the dike here now. And this is one of the best areas actually of the whole park, because not a lot of people go here, which is one thing I like a lot. The other thing is the vegetation here is really rich. A lot of really nice green colors if you're taking pictures. But there's also a lot of bears in this area as well. So if you're hiking by yourself, just be a little bit careful, keep your eyes open. They're pretty easy to see, but sometimes they're slow moving, so sometimes hard to pick up right away. If you do see them, just clap your hands, move away slowly, and you should be okay. If they're giving like a huffing sound, that means they're mad. So you want to kind of make sure you give them some distance. If they have cubs, again, you want to be extra careful with that as well, right? So just keep your eyes open. I've never had any problems. They're kind of very calm and casual. Just give them a wide berth if you can. But this is a great spot. I'm going to continue walking towards the dike here and take some video and some film and some pictures. So yeah, this is a great spot. Make sure you take a look at this spot when you're here, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Okay, so this by far is my most favorite spot of the whole park. Now notice there's nobody here. Notice the timber here is amazing. It's wide open, great view. Straight back behind me is where the dike is, so you can come to this spot from the dike. A little bit of a climb up this little rocky, cliffy area, but it's not too bad. If you're coming here from the parking lot, you probably want to go towards the lodge and then swing around, go past the low knoll, and then head straight for this area. It's a great spot for a picnic. The light in here, as you can kind of see right now, is really cool the way it comes through the trees. It's almost like you're in this kind of emerald rainforest. It's beautiful. Not a spot that most people come to because it's not part of any of the lookouts, but it is a great spot nonetheless, and I highly recommend it. My #1 spot of the whole Minnekhada Park is right here. So look for the spot where there's a big log that goes across the path that's cut, and it gives you a little walkway. If you get to that spot, that's exactly where I am right now. Okay, so that's the Minnekhada hike. I'm on my way back now. The best way to get back? Well, it really doesn't matter actually, because it's kind of a perimeter hike. There's stuff that'll take you through the middle of the marsh, which is nice. But whatever way you go, you're going to end up close to the highway, close to the parking lot, close to the lodge, in which case you can just get to, wherever your car is parked pretty easily. It's about a 5-minute walk either way, whether you end up at the lodge or the parking lot. If you're out on the road, it's another 5 minutes. So it's really not that bad. So I'm going on the southern route of the loop, the lower part, and I'm gonna go through the marsh. I'm almost there, another 5 minutes, and then probably another 10 minutes to the parking lot, and I'm good. So sun's going down, it's getting a little bit late. My wife just texted me, it's dinner time, so it's time for me to get out of here. So heading back before it gets too dark, which is always a good idea. You don't want to get in here, stuck in here when it's dark. I did have a search out here one day for a couple, and they got lost because it got dark. And so it does get pretty dark in here. There's not a lot of city lights, so that's something to think about. Take a look at when sunset is for whenever you're here, whatever time of year that is, and just plan accordingly. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna head back through the marsh now. Okay, well, that's a wrap. I'm back in the truck. Had to hike like 15, maybe 10, 15 minutes from the parking lot to get to my truck because I came out at the most busy time of the day. So it serves me right? If you're gonna come out to Minnekhada Park, you probably wanna be a little bit early or late. It's 5 o'clock now, and there's almost no cars here now. The parking lot is actually starting to empty out as well. But I probably wouldn't come too late because the sun's it's not really going down yet, but it's going behind the trees. And so the light is not as good. It doesn't look as beautiful out here right now as it does midday or earlier. Come out early, get a good spot, hike out there. It's a day hike, right? So you could, depending on how fast you are, you could get this done probably in an hour or two. When I run it, it's usually about an hour to do the perimeter and to go up the high knoll. But that's running it, right? I'm not really looking around. So if you want to have a good look around, which I encourage you to do if you're coming out here with your family, your kids, probably want to save half the day. Come out in the morning if you can. Sun won't be quite as hot. Probably, early in the morning if you can do that. And parking, of course, will be better as well. Great little spot. I think it's not really discovered yet too much, although today was super busy. If you're coming from downtown Vancouver, I think it's about an hour drive for you. If you live in the Tri-City area, Coquitlam, Port Moody, a great spot. Highly recommended. One of my favorites. With that, I'm heading home. All right, see you later.